Hello, everyone, and welcome to the course of world history. I am Mr. Samuelson. Today, we are looking at Muhammad. Quick note on why his face is censored. In certain Islamic traditions, it is disrespectful to show the face of these revered individuals, and I am following with those beliefs. So I will not be showing Muhammad's face in any of these lessons. Essential question: what was Muhammad's role in the rise of the Islamic faith? That is what we are focusing on today. Now, quickly, prior to Muhammad, let's talk about the Arabs and the area that they lived in. Pre-Islamic Arabs were largely nomads. That is, they didn't have very many established cities. And they regularly moved throughout the Arabian Peninsula, which is dominated by some very large deserts, to find food and water. Now, these Arab tribes were governed at the tribal level by a sheikh. A sheikh was an elder member of an important family, and these families would get together and kind of elect a sheikh to oversee that tribe and to give direction to that tribe as a whole. But these Arab tribes were independent. The sheikhs did work together, tried to build and strengthen the ties between the different tribal groups, and would try to ally on certain issues. But ultimately, the tribal level, they were independent. Now, in the pre-Islamic world, these early Arabs recognized a supreme God. Was called Allah then, still called Allah today. But in pre-Islamic world, there were other tribal gods as well. Allah was not the only one, was simply the supreme one. Allah itself was represented by this massive meteorite, this large stone. Came to represent the power of Allah on earth. And this stone was housed in this sacred shrine called the Kaaba, which at the pre-Islamic time also included other gods as well. Now, this Kaaba is located in Mecca, which kind of gives that city outsized importance in pre-Islamic and Islamic world. This is the Kaaba right here. And this is a more modern picture of those who have come to worship. So Muhammad, let's get to the Prophet Muhammad himself. He was born into a merchant family, but was also orphaned at a very young age. But he was born with some level of wealth and privilege, and he did work as a caravan manager. That is, he was a merchant, he was a trader, and he would manage a caravan like this one, which would carry trade goods throughout the Arabian Peninsula. Now, Muhammad was fortunate in that he was able to marry up in society. He married a wealthy widow, and this brought him into contact with the wealthier and upper classes within Mecca. But he did not like what he saw there. He saw the wealthy, rich elites of Meccan society as selfish and as corrupt. And he became very unhappy with what he learned about the society in Mecca once he had some access to it. And because he was upset, he would leave the city regularly to the nearby hills to kind of meditate and think on life and try to figure out what should happen. And according to Islamic Muslim beliefs, it was during these meditations that Muhammad was visited by the angel Gabriel. And the angel Gabriel came and revealed the word of God to Muhammad. Muhammad would sat and listened to the angel as he spoke of God's wishes and wills for what should happen on earth. Now, this did build off of existing Jewish and Christian teachings. So Islam is a continuation and a perfecting of this faith. They look back at previous prophets and accept previous prophets from other religions, but also identify Muhammad as the final and decisive prophet. Now, these revelations do become written down into the Muslim holy book called the Quran. We can see the text of which down here. Now, Muhammad, at his wife, Khadijah, and I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, at his wife's urging, did share his revelations with followers and others within Meccan society, but it was not picking up in Mecca. People were afraid that this would be contrary to the beliefs and the wishes of the Meccan elite. And after 3 years, he had only gained a handful of followers, about 30 followers. But he was on the radar of the Meccan elites, and they didn't like him. And Muhammad got word that they were going to come after him. So he fled before he could be arrested. And he and his followers fled to a city which later became known as Medina, or the city of the Prophet. This flight, going from Mecca to Medina, is known in Islamic tradition as the Hijrah, and it marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. This is where it all began. Now, in Medina, Muhammad's a lot more successful. He gets a lot more followers. And after 8 years of success in recruiting people to his religion, he then leaves Medina with an army of over 10,000 warriors to return to Mecca. Meccan elites are not able to withstand Muhammad and his followers. He's got a popular religion. Mecca and Medina are not too far apart. The Meccans have heard of this faith. They know Muhammad is one of them. They are predisposed to Islam. So the city surrenders, and most of the inhabitants of the city do convert to Islam. Now Muhammad is in charge of Mecca and Medina and spends the next 2 years helping his religion to spread. By the end of his life, Islam is a predominant religion in much of the Arabian Peninsula. But after 2 years, Muhammad does die, and the rest of the expansion of the empire comes under his successors. So a little bit about the Muslim faith itself. The key most important things in Islam are the 5 pillars of Islam, which includes the belief in one God, Allah, and that Muhammad is his prophet. One of the pillars is that of prayer, that is praying toward Mecca 5 times a day. Another one is the fast, fasting particularly during daylight hours during the month of Ramadan. This is the holy month in Islam, and no Muslim is supposed to eat between sunrise and sunset unless they're young, old, sick, pregnant. The 4th one is almsgiving, or this is giving money to the poor. So giving a portion of one's wealth to the poor and those in need, or to the greater Muslim community every year. And the last one is the Hajj. Every good Muslim is supposed to take a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their lifetime to see where the Prophet lived and to visit the Kaaba. All right, so Sharia law. The last thing we're going to get into today is that after Muhammad's death, Muslim scholars did develop a legal code, which they call Sharia law, which is based on the teachings of Islam. It's based on the Quran itself. Now, this law code then ensured that the Muslim religion became a lifestyle as well. It wasn't just how you're supposed to be a good Muslim, it became how you're supposed to live your life and follow the law. Certain things that are good to know about Sharia law: forbids gambling, forbids alcohol, forbids eating pork, which is common to Judaism but not to Christianity, forbids dishonesty and a lot of other behaviors. A good note here is sometimes you see Sharia law equated with terrorism, or we don't want people spreading Sharia law. Sharia law is stuff like, whoever killed a person, it shall be as if he killed all mankind. Basically, the idea that thou shalt not kill. These are not wildly different legal expectations than you would find in other religions as well. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this lesson and that you learned something. I look forward to seeing you next time. Farewell.